All right, happy Friday. Happy Friday, good morning to everybody. So these are going to get fun, and I like these a lot, but what I've done is I'll give you good notes on the harder ones to show you tricks. Homework, when we get to the homework, I've done a really nice job of doing detailed work, and then Brittany's going to help you guys through this. You guys can help each other, so I'm not leaving you hanging. I'm going to help you out as much as I can, okay? So today we're going to solve trig equations in radians. We're doing the fun ones. Okay, so Ellie asked me a good question. She said, are these going to be on the test? No, but it doesn't hurt for us to look at the hard ones because it gives us really good practice, and it'll make the ones we do on the test seem easy. Okay, so let's take a look at number one. First of all, before I do anything, I see the fact that I better be in Radian mode. Make sure I do that before I do a whole lot. Okay, so clear mode. I'll put my calculator in Radian mode. Okay, I'm there. Now let's take a look at example one. So when I take a look at example one, I see tangents and tangents. So I'm thinking I probably want to maybe common factor. So I'm going to bring this entire expression to the other side. Just subtract it over, bring it over. So let me rewrite. Number one is a tangent squared of x minus, because I'm going to bring it over and subtract it, 2 tangent of x sine of x equals 0. Okay? Just brought it over. Now, what I want to do is this. I'm going to common factor out a tangent, okay, and see if that helps, okay? So they both have a tangent in common. So common factor out a tangent of x. And what's left over? Well, a tangent of x minus 2 sine of x. All right, doesn't look better. A little bit better. A little bit better. I mean, I've got some of it. I can at least go here. Tangent of x equals 0. And I can solve that. I can do this one. This one's not bad. From a unit circle, tangent is 0 at 0 radians, and tangent of 0 is at pi radians. Okay, check your unit circle, get it out, go unit circle, and I think you'll see that it's there. Okay, let me grab my circle for you real quick. So double check, okay? So tangents 0 and 0, so we've got 0 radians and 0 pi and pi radians. Okay. Now the second part of this, tangent of x minus 2 sine of x, seems a little weird, but I'll change this one into a sine over cosine. Tangent, we're going to change into a sine over cosine. Sine of x over cosine of x minus a 2 sine of x equals 0. Okay. Well, I'm going to common factor again. I'm going to common factor out a sine. Watch this. So I'm going to have a sine of x times a 1 over cosine of x minus 2 equals 0. Oh, so I got 3 mini equations. Whoo, this is fun. I might have 6 answers. I don't know. So sine of x equals 0. All right, I can do that one. Sine of x equals 0. That happens at the y value of the unit circle, 0 and pi, right? Sine is the y value, so it's 0 radians and at pi radians. So, okay, but I already have that answer, but I can write it down again, okay? So I kind of already have those answers, 0 and pi. I already got those answers, okay? So let's repeat. Now, how about this one? Well, we can finish this one. I can go a 1 over cosine of x equals 2, add 2. 2 over 1, flip it, right? Flip it, make it into cosine of x equals 1/2, and that's on the unit circle also. Where is cosine equal to 1/2? Cosine is the x value at pi thirds, and x value of 1/2 is also at 5 pi thirds. Okay. So I really get 4 answers because those are repeats. Okay, all right, these are the fun ones. Okay, example 2. Well, if I look at this as far as algebra, and I'd say, okay, well, let's say I want to solve, let's go a squared plus a minus 1 equals 0. I'm using a's, not x's. There's a reason I'm using a's, not x's, because my angles are x's. It won't factor. It won't factor. But yesterday, we learned we could use the quadratic formula. We used the poly button. So there is a poly button in our calculator. So I'm going to use my poly button or the quadratic formula, poly simulate. So I go to my apps. I'm going to find that button on my poly or the quadratic formula. But there it is. So much easier. Just use the calculator. Some free advertisements. So I'll push enter again. I want the poly root finder because I'm really finding the roots or the zeros. It is a second degree polynomial. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and push next. I'm going to go 1, 1, negative 1, 1, 1, negative 1, and push solve. And I get 2 answers. So really, if I were to factor or use a quadratic formula, I have a negative 1.61 and a 0.68618. Well, that's sine. So I can't factor it. That just means sine is equal to that. So it means sine of x is equal to a negative 1.61 and sine of x is equal to a 0.618. Okay, now I've got to solve for x. Right off the bat, I'm going to throw that one away. Hopefully everybody knows why. Sine can't be bigger than negative 1 because it's the unit circle, so it has a radius of 1. But this one I can do. In Radian mode, I'm going to go sine inverse of 0.618, and I get an answer approximately of 0.66. Oh, that's a good number. X1, we'll round that. We'll try to round that one to 0.67. So there's my first answer. This is my first angle. Now there's a second angle. It's reference angle. So we take pi, if you use your chart, minus my 6.67, and I get my other angle between 0 and 2 pi, right? Because I'm doing it all between 0 and 2 pi. So my other angle is pi, subtract my 0.66, whatever, and I get a second angle of about 2.47 or 8 radians. Okay, so it wouldn't factor. Bummer. I didn't want to use the quadratic formula, too much work, so I just used the calculator. I got 2 answers that sine is equal to and solved. Okay, that's turned back. Almost done. All right. Oh, the fun one. So here's the thing. Cosines, cosines. I'm going to change this also into a cosine. I'm going to change cosines. I'm going to go 2 cosine squared of x minus a cosine of x equals 2 minus a 1 over cosine of x, because secant is 1 over cosine, right? All right, everything's in terms of cosine, right? So I don't like fractions. So here's what I'm going to do. To get rid of my fraction, I'm going to multiply both sides. I don't like fractions. This just bothers me, so I'm going to multiply both sides by cosine of x over 1, cosine of x over 1. Okay, so my whole point is to get rid of the fraction, because cosine of cosine is going to be 1. So let me rewrite this. Now I'm going to get a cube. I'm going to add a 2 cosine cubed of x, cosine times cosine squared, minus a cosine squared of x, cosine times cosine, equals cosine times 2 is a 2 cosine of x minus cosine over cosine. I get 1. All right, now let me bring everything over and I'm going to factor. Okay, so cosine cubed, cosine squared, cosine 1. I'm going to bring the 2 cosine of x over, and I'll bring the 1 over. Okay, so I'll rewrite this as a 2 cosine cubed of x minus a cosine squared of x. Bring this over. minus 2 cosine of x. Bring over the 1, make it a positive 1 equals 0. Okay? Now, I can factor this. It will factor by grouping. So I'm going to put these two together. I don't know if you guys remember grouping, but I'm going to put those two together and those two together. Okay, so if I do by grouping, I'm going to ignore the second half. These two have a cosine squared in common. So a common factor out of cosine squared of x. Okay, I'm doing it by grouping. These two have a cosine squared of x. I would have a 2 cosine of x minus 1. If I take out a negative, it's going to look like this. So I'm going to take out a negative 1. Because the whole idea in grouping is to make them the same. So I'm going to common factor out a negative 1. And then I'll have a 2 cosine of x minus 1. Alright? Now with grouping, I have a 2 cosine of x minus 1 in common. So I factor that out. 2 cosine of x minus 1, if I factor that out, then I'll be left with a cosine squared of x minus 1. Alright, I'm getting there. I have my mini equations. We're going to set them equal to 0, maybe use the unit circle. Alright, so I have a 2 cosine of x minus 1 equals 0 and cosine squared of x minus 1 equals 0. Okay? Alright. Well, let's just solve. Add 1, divide by 2, cosine of x, add 1, divide by 2. I believe that's on the unit circle. Cosine is the x value of 1/2 is going to be pi thirds and 5 pi thirds. So angle 1, pi thirds, angle 2, 5 pi thirds. Alright? Again, if I get going too fast, just ask the substitute or Brittany to slow it down, pause it. Okay, now, let's solve this side. Plus 1 plus 1. Square root, right? So I'm going to have cosine of x equals plus or minus, because you square root 1. Okay, so that means we'll have a cosine of x equals 1 and a cosine of x equals a negative 1. I think that's on the unit circle too. Cosine is the x value. Cosine of 1 is at 0 radians. And cosine of negative 1 is on the unit circle. There's the x value, pi radians. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 answers. So the homework is 18 to 28 even. Okay. And it's challenging enough that if you get stuck, Brittany will have this. You guys can work on this together if you want to, but she has all of my work. And so hopefully you'll be able to do this, okay? And I'll see everybody on Monday. Work hard. Try and get it done if you can, okay? And I'll see you Monday, okay? Bye.